Hey everybody, welcome back. This is a Daily Bern, the war room of the political revolution. This is a daily inspirational show for those of us who are fighting in this political revolution in order to transform our government into one for the people. So come on in, we'll start in just a minute. I give a little bit of time for people to like and share and comment, say you're here and all that. All of that helps us get out more in the Facebook algorithm and do better and show up in more people's feeds. So the more interaction with the show, even if you're watching later on, the better. Thanks for doing that. This is the Daily Bern, and on this show, we focus on the truth. We ignore the lies and negativity here because that is all it is, lies. Now, don't get me wrong, it's true if you believe it. If you believe that you're weak, then you are. If you believe that you can't do something, that it's impossible, then it is. Because you believed it was. You made it impossible. We don't do that here. Here, we understand that we have got to own this fight, and we own it. We know that if anyone is going to believe in us, in our goals, that we have got to believe in them. We know that the most important thing is to keep standing up, to keep fighting, to not quit. We understand that this greed that is control of our society must be ended. We understand that it is us who must end it. Now, I include a link in the description of every Daily Bern to berniesanders.com. Please go there and see if there's any way that you can help out the campaign, maybe by becoming one of the 2 million of us that are volunteering to help get Bernie elected, or donate if you can. Any amount would be great. One thing I will tell people, I've been giving this as a homework assignment for people that watch the Daily Bern, and that is while you're there, get a bumper sticker. They're only a couple bucks, and it's a great way to show your support for the campaign. And it turns your car into a moving billboard for Bernie Sanders and shows massive support. And if we can get, the campaign is asking this right now, but I believe in it too. People need to see that support. They need to see that, and a bumper sticker is a real easy way to do it. So get yourself a bumper sticker and just do all that you can. Keep fighting. Keep moving forward. Never stop. We are breaking through, and we have the momentum needed to win. So just keep going. Keep fighting. Keep sharing the truth. Keep waking the others. Be the media. Fight through the lies and propaganda. And spread the message. Get Bernie's message out there. Inform people that they are worth more, that they deserve more, and that they can have better. Teach them about things like Medicare for all. Help them understand that scary word, socialism. Inform them that these things that the media and powers that be are telling you are pipe dreams are being done all over the world. We're the last to the party on this stuff, and I promise you your average American doesn't know that. They aren't aware. They have no idea. They think that this is the way to go because they've been convinced but that this is the way to go by the media, by all their leaders. Everyone in charge and in power is telling you this is impossible, right? You're only seeing a few people even come around since Bernie started, really making Medicare for all and a living wage and all these things, big news. You're only seeing a few come around, and they don't believe in it. They'll want to find some middle ground. Well, there is no middle ground, and we understand that as well here. We are not here to negotiate. We are here to take this. We are coming for our country. This is going to happen. You can either be part of this movement, get out of its way, or be crushed by it. Because we are going to win. Not Bernie, us. Getting Bernie elected is only step one. It's a nuclear strike. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a nuclear strike, and it will do wonders towards inspiring millions of people in this fight moving forward. It's going to be very big, and something that gives us momentum moving forward to make this change that we want, this change that we're looking for, happen. Like they give him shit in the debates all the time. How are you going to make this happen, Bernie? How are you going to do this? Millions of people are going to stand united and demand it. He is just the figurehead, just the candidate. This is our fight. And when enough of us understand that and move forward united, we'll be unstoppable. And most of the people that watch this show understand that, but we need to believe that. It's 90% mental. You got to own it completely. And owning it mentally is the first step in that. You have to believe it. If you don't believe it, nobody will. If you radiate belief in this, it will inspire others. We have to we have to take a new look at how we try and wake the others, how we try and get people involved in our fight. I think we need to work on ourselves in order to do that a little better. We focus too much on them, and sometimes we're a little too aggressive. We go at them too hard, which only triggers their cognitive dissonance, and they're not even listening to you anymore. You're not doing anything to get through. Think about this, though. If you just become inspiring, live like a warrior, believe this to its core, move forward united, that will inspire people. That will wake them up. They'll be like, wait a minute, what's going on over there? Because, humans are herd animals. We follow the pack. We go with what's popular and what seems fun and interesting. So the more fun and interesting we make this appear, the more appealing it will be. That's just my theory, that if we work on ourselves, we're going to do more towards waking others than we will if we attack them and go after them real hard. But let me know what you think in the comments. Yesterday, this segment is yesterday's comments. We go through yesterday's comments because now we are pre-recording these. If you didn't notice, I'm sorry to have shattered the illusion, but these are pre-recorded now. I am here right now during the live premiere watching with you. So feel free to talk to me and keep the conversation going. But like I said in the beginning, comment, even if you're here later on. Any interaction helps us show up better in the algorithm and get out to more people. And I love your comments. And that's why I have a whole segment on the show where I go through them. But let's see. Yesterday, we had a few people here, and Steve comes pretty often. He's a regular around here. Hi, Steve, by the way. He got locked up in Facebook jail. Old Mark Zuckerberg locked Steve up in Facebook jail for sharing this show. But thank you, Steve, for taking that hit and doing this stint in Facebook jail for the Daily Bern. We appreciate that. You are a warrior. And thank you to anybody who shares this show. I appreciate that. I want this message to get out to as many people as possible. I felt like it was important for us to have a positive place to gather and focus on the facts that we are winning. We're doing great. And what's happening is going to be remembered. This is going to be historical. This is going to be the moment that our country experienced massive change. This is when it started. This when people look back on this, this is what they're going to say. We are part of the movement that is going to make real change, and it's exciting. I'm happy to be a part of it, and I wanted to do my part, so I felt like I should do this. Something I thought I could do, give us a little show. Anyways, moving on in the comments, Mariella was here, and she said that she is Trump Nation now because of what happened to Bernie, and she is not alone. I've talked about this type of person. When I say dissenters, this is what I mean. They used to be part of our movement, but now they have splintered off for whatever reason, whether it's what happened to Bernie, how Bernie reacted to what happened to Bernie, what he did moving forward, etc. Now, I know a lot of people that were part of the Sanders movement that have now went to Trump. They voted for him at first because they were in swing states. And we did all we could to help Hillary lose. And for some people, Bernie or bust meant voting against Hillary, not just not voting for her, but voting against her. And it snowballed, and they ended up being Trump supporters because they feel like they're fighting the establishment now. These people, these Trump supporters, actually believe that Trump is anti-establishment because the media does so much work trying to convince everyone he's a boogeyman. They give him so much attention. They've built him up to be this imaginary boogeyman. I mean, he's not a great president by any means. I am not Trump Nation like Mariella. I'll never be. But I also don't suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. I know that he's not the boogeyman he's being made up to be. You're being conditioned to be afraid of Donald Trump so that they can run on that fear and offer you nothing but that they are not Donald Trump and offer you nothing but a return to the status quo. When they know full well that won't work, that will lose, that will not win. If they nominate, and if you're blue no matter who, and you wandered in here and you're watching this show, first off, welcome. I'm glad to see you here. Second, know that if you let them nominate or select any establishment shill, they will lose to Donald Trump. So if you're voting out of fear of Donald Trump and you allow them to do that, you're choosing to lose. Just know that up front. It's not a threat. They just can't win. They won't win. They're losers. They know that. Um, I brought up Epstein yesterday, and we're going to get to that a little bit later in Know Your Enemy because I'm going to touch on it again because it's still in the news, barely, but it's in the news. We'll get to that in a minute. But Royce was talking about how he pointed out that the rich have different rules than the rest of us. Yes, they do. This is a corrupt and rigged up system rigged up by big money, and they do have different rules. The law doesn't seem to apply to them. Jeffrey Epstein, this is not the first time Jeffrey Epstein has been arrested for sex with minors, sex with children. He was arrested once before. They got him in Florida, and they gave him the lightest slap on the wrist that you can imagine. It is disgusting. And it's because he's a billionaire. It's because he's connected to very powerful people. Big on that list would be Bill Clinton, but he is also connected to Donald Trump. Donald Trump broke ties with him a long time ago. I do have to acknowledge that, even banned him from Mar-a-Lago. But they were friends. There was a time where Donald Trump praised him, and even in that praise talked about how he liked young girls, children. So they knew. They knew. And Donald Trump may have broken ties with him, but is not innocent. He knew of it. And matter of fact, there's a rape accusation against Donald Trump that involves Jeffrey Epstein and a party at his house. So, but that woman dropped the charges due to death threats, but it exists. Anyway, let's get into something positive really quick. I want to cleanse my palate of this Jeffrey Epstein for a minute. We'll get back to him and Know Your Enemy, but let's talk about Bernie events. This is the segment where I get into what Bernie and the campaign are up to right now. Right now, they have announced that they have 45 staffers currently on the ground in New Hampshire, working and actively canvassing and tabling and all of that. And they'll be opening offices in 4 more cities in New Hampshire. I think they already have 3 there, I believe. And they'll be opening 4 more in the recent coming up. The campaign is focusing heavily, actually, right now on opening campaign offices all over the country. Bernie was recently being interviewed, and he talked about how this support was even bigger than they were prepared for, and they weren't ready to roll out as fast as it has turned out they need to. So they're doing all they can to catch up and roll out a bunch of campaign offices and get caught up with the support of the campaign so they can do all they can to leverage that. They're doing a fantastic job. They are traveling. Bernie will be traveling back to Iowa starting on July 20th, Saturday, July 20th. They'll be getting to Iowa for 2 days. They'll be there Saturday and Sunday for 8 events. They'll be opening 2 more offices in Iowa. They just got back from Iowa a little over a week ago, and they opened some offices then too. I want to say 3. So they are doing very well and focusing heavily on these early primary states. I'm very proud of Bernie and the campaign. He has a fantastic team, and they're running a fantastic campaign. When we do our part, this is an easy layup. The media and quitters and all that are going to do all they can to convince you that this is going to be impossible. This is not impossible. This is not impossible. We stay focused. We keep going. We're going to do this. So let's get into Know Your Enemy real quick. Know Your Enemy is the segment on the Daily Bern where I go through all of mainstream media and pull out anything I think we'll be dealing with, any hit pieces and propaganda, stuff that we need to know moving forward. And I do that so that you don't have to watch the mainstream media. You could turn it off because it needs to die. We need to kill it. And it needs eyeballs on screens and clicks and shares to survive. So if you take that away from it, it will die off. But there were two pieces on Fox with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden exchanging jabs back and forth at each other. Joe Biden's was heavily featured. It was on the top, very top of the page. Kamala Harris's was a little further down, but the media is still playing up this, I believe, completely imaginary, made up feud between Harris and Biden. I think it's all theatrics. They both have backgrounds where they heavily attacked minorities in different ways. Both of them. Both of them are responsible for that. It's laughable that Harris acts like she's above it. She is responsible for incarcerating, many, innumerous amounts of minorities and went after them in different ways. So she is not above scrutiny as far as that goes. But anyways, they're still going back and forth about that. And then there was a hit piece on Fox about how the Democratic Party is setting themselves up to lose because they're moving too far left. Well, Fox doesn't need to worry because only two candidates on that stage, three now, because Mike Gravel made the debates. Congratulations to Mike Gravel's team, by the way. But three now that are actually progressive. The rest of them are just bullshitting. They're just giving empty platitudes to their supporters to try to garner support and take support away from the real progressives on the stage. They're not going to offer you any real change. They'll lie to you. They'll tell you they're going to, but they're not going to. Anyways, it's funny that the media keeps trying to convince people, oh, you're going to lose, you keep moving to the left. No, that's the way to win. It's the opposite. Their whole job is to lie to you. Don't even listen to the mainstream media. But yesterday I covered some actual news, so I thought maybe I would do that too, because honestly, it's just been media silence on Bernie Sanders and the same propaganda over and over again every day. The same fake polls, pushing the same candidates. Like I said yesterday on NPR, for a month and a half, the same Pete Buttigieg story has been on their front page. It's ridiculous. So some other news. CNN claims, this has to do with us, but CNN claims that even after his poor performance in the first debate, that Joe Biden leads by 20 points with black voters. They are still trying to sell people on the bullshit narrative. Sorry, I've cussed a lot during this burn. I try not to. I'll watch that a little closer. But they're trying to sell people on this narrative that Bernie does bad with black voters. That is just not true. I don't think that's true at all. Someone prove me wrong. Show me statistically if that's true. One of our biggest supporters is Dr. Cornel West. Another one of our biggest supporters is Killer Mike, who's an amazing supporter, by the way. With a name like Killer Mike, you wouldn't really think so. He is a rapper, but he's a very smart man, very well spoken man, and very respected in black communities. As well as Cornel West, I think they're way off base with this. Bernie is the only candidate on that stage, as far as I know, that actually marched with Martin Luther King. What has been photographed being arrested, chaining himself to a black woman in a civil rights protest. He's the only one with a true background fighting for people, fighting for the average American for 40 plus years that I know of on that whole stage. So I think that's BS that he does poorly with black voters. I don't think there's any truth to that at all. But something else in the news, that Congress has delayed the Mueller hearings. They are going to interview Robert Mueller. Even though Robert Mueller said there was no need to and he didn't want to, they're going to interview Robert Mueller. They're going to keep this in the news. They're going to keep the threat of impeachment of Donald Trump in the news so they can keep it out there and keep pumping it. They're not going to do it. They're not going to act on it. And even if they are, people, I would love to be rid of Donald Trump, but can't we beat him in an election with ideas? Can't we really beat him? Let's beat him the right way. Not waste a bunch of the taxpayers' money on impeachment when he's up for re-election. Why can't we just do it that way? I think that'd be the much better way to go. But they're going to have the Mueller hearings. They've delayed them for a week, I believe, and then they'll have him in there. They are planning ICE raids in 9 cities today. I saw a meme, and it really hit me in the core because it's true. You know, if you want to know what you would have done in Nazi Germany when they started rounding up the Jews, you're getting a chance to find out right now. You know, it's disgusting what's going on with these ICE raids, and just make sure you spread the information. I wanted to write it down. I'm mad at myself that I didn't write it down before I started recording. But the rights of people, for one, don't open your door. They can't enter. They can't forcibly enter, from what I understand. And there's a lot more rights. I shared it to my Facebook page. Look that up and share that out so that people know their rights if ICE comes to their door. But they're planning those in 9 cities, which is sad. It's very sad. But this went on. It's not new. They're publicizing it now, which is good. I'm glad there's outrage. Good. That's great. I like that outrage. Never lose your sense of outrage, but don't be a fool. Don't allow yourself to be fooled into believing that this just started. They're just focusing on it now because they're building a boogeyman in Donald Trump. And they're going to tell you that it's going to stop, and it's not going to stop. The only thing that's going to stop is the focus on it. Just like racism existed before Donald Trump, but they focus heavily on it now because they're building up fear. They want people to be afraid. And they're doing a good job of it. But we got to rise above it. The media and the propaganda machine, the corporate-owned media, is a weapon. It is designed to divide and distract and misinform us and keep us in fear. They've done studies. They've shown that people are addicted to negative information. So just for ratings alone, the news is mostly negative by design. That's why it's proven that it makes you feel depressed and sad just by watching it. So do yourself a favor, turn it off, and I'll cover it for you every day right here. But the last thing I'm going to cover on this is what I was talking about earlier, is tie us back into the Epstein story, which is a huge story, and it's being underreported. And how exactly do you report on firing Jim Acosta? Well, he stepped down and resigned, but I'm sure he was forced to resign. How do you report on that while underreporting on the Epstein arrest? You want to report on how Acosta, well, let me give you some backstory. Acosta was part of the plea deal in Florida when Jeffrey Epstein got this super soft, feather soft slap on the wrist, and for sex with minors, children. And he's a monster, a well-known monster. And they had him, and they just barely touched him, barely gave him any kind of punishment at all. Nothing really. An insult to everyone involved. But they have him again on better charges. And a lot of powerful people could be implicated. This is a huge story, and it's being underreported. It's barely being reported, but they're reporting on Acosta. How do you do that? How do you talk out of both sides of your mouth? I don't really understand that. But, I don't understand a lot of what the media does. There's no morality in it. There's no journalism in it. If there was real journalism, this Epstein thing would have never gotten to this point. A lot of things wouldn't have gotten to the point where they're at. But we've lost the fourth wall of our government. There is no such thing as real journalism anymore. Well, there is, but you have to seek it out for yourself, and it's independent. It's people like me and stuff like this. It's where you got to find your truth. You got to seek it out for yourself and find it, because truth tellers are being silenced. They're trying to erase truth in real time. There's massive censorship going on right now, but it's being hidden because it's being done by corporations. People are actually defending it. Oh, it's okay. Facebook can censor whoever they want. Google can censor whoever they want. YouTube can pull whatever they want. They're private companies. Okay, well, they have a monopoly on these industries. I think they've gotten to where they're utilities. If we're in an online economy, which we are, these things are utilities at this point. They're necessary. You can't survive online, especially if what you're trying to do is online journalism, without a platform. And they have the ability to take that platform from you, which is essentially silencing you which I believe is censorship, and I don't care if it's done by a company. That doesn't matter to me. That's semantics. But anyways, that was Know Your Enemy. Um, and I have exhausted my notes for the day. This has been the Daily Bern. We do this every day. It's a daily inspirational show for those of us fighting in this revolution. Hopefully you're digging it. If you shared, thank you. I appreciate that. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow for another episode. See you then. Keep fighting. Not me, us.